Chapter 91 Traveling Together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Crocodile's shameless escape, Lin Hai originally wanted to chase him, but as soon as he took the step, he didn't know how to get to Albana, the capital of the Kingdom of Alabasta. As a result, Lin Hai had no choice but to return to Rainland to buy maps and prepare supplies for the journey. As soon as I returned to the Rainland, I saw Smoker sitting there as if thinking about something, and behind him stood Dasky. Lin Hai exclaimed, "Brother Smoker, didn't you go to Albana? Why are you still here?" Smoker immediately showed his cross-hand weapon, pointed at Lin Hai and said, "Pirate Lin Hai, you really think I won't catch you, do you?" Lin Hai said depressedly, "Are you born in the year of the ox? Don't say it's useless. I was tricked by Crocodile. Now he should go directly to Albana." After saying that, Lin Hai ran to Dasi Chi and asked, "Beauty, can you take me to Albana?" "I don't know how to get there." Dasky looked at Lin Hai blankly, remembering what happened that day. She couldn't help but blush, and stammered, "You are a pirate, it is impossible for us to be together." Dasky's answer was unreasonable. For a moment, Smoker and Lin Hai looked at Dasky in confusion. Smoker reacted and said angrily, "Asshole, what did you do to Dasky?" With that said, Smoker directly struck Lin Hai with his weapon. Lin Hai held Smog's weapon with one hand and said angrily, "Smog, what's going on with what you're doing? The most important thing now is Crocodile. When I get to Albana, after I beat Crocodile unconscious and hand it over to your navy, I should be able to get his bounty, right?" Dasky exclaimed, "What did you say? But you are a pirate." Lin Hai rolled his eyes at Dasky, then put his arm around Smoker's shoulder and said, "Crocodile's bounty seems to be more than 80 million Baileys. If you get it, it should be more than 70 million Baileys, right? Don't worry, then I'll treat you to dinner and cover your cigarette money for a year." Smoker and Dusky were a little confused. "Hey, what's going on now?" After a while, Smoker said angrily, "Are you kidding me, Pirate Lin Hai? Damn, this Smoker's temper is really bad." Lin Hai also said angrily, "Just tell me whether Crocodile's bounty is still valid." Dasky replied on behalf of Smoker, "Crocodile uses dancing powder banned by the world government. He is no longer a Shichibukai, so his bounty is naturally valid." Lin Hai asked again, "Since it works, if I knock him out and teach you the navy, can't I get the reward?" Smoker replied in a low tone, "But you are a pirate." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, "The princess of the kingdom of Alabasta can be a middleman. Can't you just give the bounty to him?" As he spoke, Lin Hai poked Smoker's head with his finger and said, "What do you think is going on in your head? You're a smoker. If you smoke so many cigars every day, you must owe a lot of money, right?" Ignoring that Smoker was on the verge of going berserk, Lin Hai winked at Dasky next to him and continued, "No wonder you left Rog Town. I guess you must owe a lot of money there because you can't afford it. So you ran away, right?" Without saying a word, Smoker directly raised his cross hand to greet Lin Hai, split vertically, split left, split right, split diagonally, split again. Smoker was going crazy. Why couldn't he hit Lin Hai? "Even if it hits you once, that's fine." "And what about Lin Hai?" Rotating and jumping, he closed his eyes and couldn't see the hustle and bustle. "Is Dasky intoxicated?" After a while, Smoker gasped for air and stared at Lin Hai angrily. Lin Hai said angrily, "Come on, I won't play with you anymore. Why don't I buy a map myself?" "Wait a minute." Smoker said, "You come with us, Crocodile, I won't let him go. A mere pirate dares to fool the navy." As soon as he heard Smoker agreed, Lin Hai hugged Dasky's waist in surprise and said, "I'll trouble you, Dasky." A blush instantly appeared on Dasky's face. "Let go." "Ahem, I can't help it, I can't help it." Soon, Lin Hai and Smoker set foot on the road to Albana. Smoker really has no choice. Compared with the lives of the people of the Kingdom of Alabasta, he now believes in Lin Hai more. As for the world government, doesn't Smoker understand what virtue it is? They were the ones who created the Shichibukai system, and now they have brought about the evil consequences without solving the matter. Will those high-ranking nobles lose face by dealing with this matter? Smoker gave no hope at all. On the way, Smoker became angrier and angrier as he thought about it. The angrier he became, the more depressed he became. The more depressed Smoker became, he kept glaring angrily at Lin Hai, who was holding Dasky's hand in front of him. Smoker couldn't bear it anymore and said angrily, "You stinky pirate, stay away from Dasky. Also, don't come with us when we get to Albana, otherwise, I will arrest you as well." "Got it." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, "Brother Smog, you can't learn from that stinky old man Carp. People just know how to adapt to their needs. Unlike you, you are just a cow. You will offend people if you do this." Smoker said he would do it, white blast. Lin Hai simply grabbed the white smoke and said with a smile, "I still have the white windmill, the white lover. If you have something to say, let's talk it over. How can there be so much hatred in the world, right?" Lin Hai let go and continued, "Brother Smoker, after this matter is settled, how many more drinks can we have? Your drinking capacity is really bad." Before he finished speaking, Smoker punched him. "Pirate, are you too arrogant? How dare you underestimate the Navy?" Dasky on the side said helplessly, "Can you calm down for a while? Alabasta is still in riots." Smoker calmed down and said, "Dasky, when we get there, we will do the aftermath, but we won't get involved." Dasky asked in confusion, "Why?" Lin Hai poked Dasky's head and said amusedly, "Your navy does not belong to the kingdom of Alabasta. You have no right to interfere with their affairs. Don't you know this?" Dusky looked at Smoker in confusion. Smoker nodded helplessly. Although Alabasta is a member of the World Alliance, the Navy is a branch of the world government and has not received orders from the world government. Smoker still knows this. At this time, Smoker responded, "He's right." Lin Hai looked at Smoker depressedly and said speechlessly, "I mean Smoker, can you stop putting on such a face all day long? Even if you can't pay back the debt, you don't have to look sad all day long, right? Otherwise, did I pay it back for you? Are you kidding?" Smoker raised his cross hand again and ran after Lin Hai. Unfortunately, Smoker couldn't beat Lin Hai. The difference in strength between the two is really not that big. In this way, the three people rushed to Albana amidst the noise. Chapter 92 Luffy's Defeat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. While Lin Hai and the others were on their way, Luffy and his group arrived at Albana, the capital of the Kingdom of Alabasta, and were stopped by senior agents from Baroque Works. Among them, Luffy met Crocodile once on the way. When everyone saw Crocodile, Nami was the first to ask, "Crocodile, why are you here? What happened to Lin Hai?" Luffy also asked, "What did you do to Lin Hai?" "Ha ha, ha ha. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha." Crocodile said in a shameless tone, "Wouldn't you know if you go to the rainy place and take a look?" Ha ha ha. Usopp shouted excitedly, "Stop joking, we know best what Lin Hai's ability is. What kind of trick did you use? Where is Lin Hai?" Crocodile said contemptuously, "My appearance here explains everything. It's better to accept the reality, ha ha ha." Everyone. At this time, Luffy stepped forward and said, "I don't believe something happened to Lin Hai. You can leave first. Leave Crocodile to me to stop him." Wei Wei stepped forward and said, "Luffy, Lin Hai, he." Luffy turned around and smiled, "Don't worry, that guy will be fine for sure. You still have things to deal with there. Why do these guys trust that nasty bastard so much?" Crocodile was still angry after being kicked by Lin Hai before, so now it was time to take it out on this group of people. He did what he said, and just as Crocodile took action, a fist suddenly hit him on the head. However, Crocodile is a user with natural fruit abilities and is not domineering. Unless he finds a weakness, there is really nothing he can do against him. After the head turned into sand and exploded, it coalesced again. Crocodile mocked, "You trash, do you really think you can beat me? You go first, I'll stop him." Luffy directly turned on the second gear mode. Because the opponent was the Shichibukai, Luffy opened it up when he came up. "Luffy!" everyone said worriedly. "Let's go." Luffy said firmly. At this time, Sauron said, "Let's go first and listen to the captain." Usopp still struggled, "Luffy." Sanji directly pulled Usopp away and reminded, "We have other important things to do, let's go quickly." Luffy stared at Crocodile and shouted back, "I'll leave the rest to you." "Luffy, be careful. We'll meet again in Albana." "Hey, is that guy Lin Hai okay? Could he really be killed by Crocodile?" "I'm talking about Chopper, do you really believe Crocodile's words? We should know how powerful that guy Lin Hai is." Sanji couldn't help but said, "I'm talking about the green bath head, why do you have such a tone of voice that you don't have enough confidence?" Sauron said angrily, "What did you say, you sexy cook? Believe it or not, I will chop you down." Nami stopped her and said, "Can you guys stop arguing?" Watching the Straw Hats leave, Crocodile said to Luffy, "Why do you, a pirate, come to stop me?" Luffy replied expressionlessly, "Because Wei Wei loves her country, I won't allow you to hurt her." "Ha ha ha." Crocodile laughed, "Do you really think you can beat me? How will you know if you don't try?" Luffy made a half-crouched position, put a fist on his waist with one hand, and aimed at Crocodile with the other hand. Guess, no, jet pistol. With that said, Luffy took the lead. For a moment, Crocodile stood there and let Luffy hit him no matter what, but he couldn't hit him. This made Luffy very distressed. At the beginning, Lin Hai had explained that Crocodile should not get close to his right hand. If he was accidentally caught, the water in his body would be sucked dry. Water. Luffy then remembered that Lin Hai said that the weakness of the Sha fruit's power is water. At this time, Crocodile saw Luffy standing not far away and did not continue to take action, so he continued to taunt, "Ha ha ha, found out? You can't hit me. A pirate like you can have as much as you want." After saying that, Crocodile also took action, Desert Sword. A huge slash made of condensed sand went straight to Luffy's head. Fortunately, Luffy's eyesight and sense of danger had been cultivated since childhood, and he instinctively avoided this slash. Seeing a huge crack forming on the ground, Luffy couldn't help but said, "It's so dangerous." "Ha ha ha." Crocodile said proudly, "Boy, I will let you be buried here today, the Desert Sword." "Here we go again." Luffy exclaimed, and after avoiding it, he activated his second gear again. This time, Luffy's second gear was a little different from before, because there were water droplets dripping from his body. By doing this, Luffy knew that he couldn't continue for a long time, because if he continued for a long time, he would directly lose his fighting ability due to dehydration. At this time, Crocodile saw Luffy doing this again and couldn't help but mocked, "I still don't understand." Before he finished speaking, Crocodile was knocked away by Luffy's punch. "That guy Lin Hai is really powerful. How did he know that?" Luffy couldn't help but murmured happily when he saw that he could really hit him this time. Because of his first success, Luffy couldn't help but think of the Smoking Man. He was also a natural ability user. If he didn't know how to use Haki, how could he beat him? While he was thinking this, Luffy's abdomen was suddenly pierced by a hook-like object. It turned out that the deserted crocodile used his own ability to quickly move behind Luffy and hit Luffy hard. Crocodile approached Luffy's ear and whispered, "It seems that you know my weakness, but who do you think I am? I am the Shichibukai. If you dare to be distracted while fighting with me, you can stop here." After saying that, Crocodile pulled out the hook on his left hand and smiled without looking back, "Ha ha ha." At this time, after his abdomen was pierced, Luffy couldn't help but think of Lin Hai's repeated warnings to him that day. When fighting, he must concentrate. On the surface, he can despise his opponent and mess with his mentality, but he cannot take it lightly, because once if you fall into someone else's surefire plan, you will regret it greatly. Luffy tried not to let himself pass out, wondering why he had made this mistake just now. This was Luffy's first fight against an opponent of Crocodile's level, and he failed. But who is Luffy? The halo of the protagonist. Bloodlocking monster. No, not long after, a bird fruit user, Bell, the captain of the guard of the Kingdom of Alabasta, passed by and rescued Luffy. Chapter 93 One Swords Open the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bell, who was passing by, saw a lot of blood bleeding from Luffy's stomach and couldn't help but stepped forward and asked, "Young man, are you okay?" Damn it, if Lin Hai were here he would definitely give him a slap in the face and let someone pierce your stomach to see if it would be okay. But Luffy was different. At this time, he grabbed Bell's clothes and said, "I want to eat meat, meat." On the other side, Zoro and Nami came to a place, and were blocked by Mr. One and his partner Mississippi Doublefinger. Mr. One is a fruit-cutting user who combines physical skills and swordsmanship. Mississippi Doublefinger's original name is Pola, and Pola is a user with the ability of the thorn fruit. After the two parties met, they each chose their opponents. Nami chose to run away without saying a word, while Pola chased Nami. Seeing Nami stop, Pola couldn't help but joked, "Little girl, why don't you continue running away?" Nami waved the weather stick in her hand, stuck out her tongue, and said mischievously, "Look above your head." Above the head? Pola looked up curiously, and then was struck by lightning. It's that simple, Nami wins. The plot twist was so sudden that it exceeded everyone's expectations. Looking at Paula, who had fainted, Nami said in disappointment, "Really, I have other tricks." After Zoro and Mr. One, that is, Daz Bonus, bickered for a while, Zoro was directly buried under the stones of the collapsed house with a fancy chop. Daz looked at the direction where Zoro was buried and couldn't help but said, "Hey, is this the level of pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro? It's really disappointing." Just as Daz turned around to leave, there was a sound from the direction of the waist, followed by Zoro standing up. Zoro said expressionlessly, "I have a sword that can move mountains. I have a sword that can topple seas. I have a sword that can open the sky. Things in the world that are without me are called the three swordsmanship. Hello. The guy across from me." As he spoke, Sauron raised his eyes and looked at Daz indifferently. This look coupled with his unclear words just now made Daz's heart skip a beat. Oh. Daz suppressed the fear in his heart, because the person in front of him was a little abnormal. He had suffered so many tricks from him, and now his eyes looked like he was in trouble. Daz said harshly, "You're not dead yet. But there's no point in trying, because I'm a user with the ability to cut through the fruit, and my whole body can be turned into blades. There's nothing a swordsman can do against me, unless you can cut through iron." Sauron picked up the hutout text on the ground, pointed at Daz and said, "Thank you for making me stronger. I finally understand why Lin Hai does a single chopping action there every day. It turns out that this is the case. It seems that you have to practice again." Daz was confused and asked, "What are you talking about?" As soon as he heard this question, Zoro remembered Lin Hai's bad taste and blurted out, "What I say is none of your business. Does it have anything to do with you?" Wow. As soon as he got out of his mouth, Zoro seemed to have discovered a new world. It turned out that it was so cool to fight people like this. But business is more important, let's kill that guy first. Before Daz could get angry, Sauron had already grasped his Hoenn Dao Yitzi and slowly said, "One sword flow, one sword to open the sky." A figure flashed past Daz. After a while, Daz felt a sharp pain. He was a person with the ability to cut fruits. He had always cut others by himself. Who would have thought that he would be killed by others? Cut it off. If Lin Hai were here, he would definitely have a duel with Sauron. This shameless guy actually stole his domineering name from Lin Hai. Why don't you just cut it into scrap metal? Look at what he can do, and he can open the sky with one sword, bah. And in this battle, Sauron won. Elsewhere, the resurrected Luffy once again went to trouble Crocodile. After fighting for a while in the palace, although Crocodile was beaten badly by Luffy, Luffy still accidentally touched Crocodile's right hand. And then given Crocodile's ability, but fortunately, when Crocodile entered the underground palace with King Kabusha and Robin, Luffy was revived by water again. The protagonist is the protagonist, he can't be killed. At this time, Lin Hai and Smoker were rushing to Albana. Lin Hai said very unhappily, "Your navy is too watery, right? You don't even know how to walk this way." Smoker also replied very unhappily, if you idiot hadn't been there to piss me off all the time, would I have forgotten to pick up the map? Hey! Lin Hai said contemptuously, you have white hair and a premature appearance. How dare you call others stupid? Smoker said angrily, do you want to fight again? Dasky said feebly, can you please stop arguing? How many times have you argued along the way? Lin Hai said, do I want to quarrel with him? He is righteous and righteous every day, and people call him a hero without seeing him, right? He is just a dreamer, living in illusion every day, bah. Smoker was really helpless. He couldn't beat him again and again, but now he found that even scolding him couldn't help him. The depressed Smoker yelled, we've arrived at Albana now, get out of here and do your thing, don't let me see you again. Ahem. Naturally Lin Hai would not give in to Smoker, but blew a kiss to Dasky and went straight to the palace square, because fighting had already begun there, and people's shouts could be heard even here. When Lin Hai arrived, he saw Nami and the others trying to persuade Wei Wei not to get involved. At this time, when Nami saw Lin Hai, she was surprised and said, Lin Hai. Oh. Lin Hai, it's really you. Crocodile just said that you were defeated by him. We are all so worried about you. Chopper said to Lin Hai with tears on his face. Lin Hai suspected that his ears were wrong and confirmed again, what did you just say? That I was defeated by Crocodile. Nami nodded and said, that's what Crocodile said, but we don't believe it. Wei Wei stepped forward and said, it's great that you're okay. The mummified Usopp couldn't help but said, Lin Hai, go and help Luffy, he is fighting Crocodile. Lin Hai wondered, where are they? Take me there. Sanji stopped him and said, let's solve the immediate trouble first. Look, if we don't stop them from continuing to fight, the consequences will be disastrous. Zoro echoed, Luffy said he had found a way to defeat Crocodile. Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, I still believe what the captain said. I hate that I didn't kill him with a single blow, but that shameless guy actually said behind his back that I was defeated by him. Nami on the side said angrily, don't worry about that for now, how to solve the problem in front of you, please quickly think of a solution. Ahem, this is easy. As he said that, Lin Hai quickly took out his suit from his backpack. Now, no one can stop Lin Hai from pretending to compete again. Especially when he was competing in disguise in front of so many people, Lin Hai couldn't help but feel excited. Chapter 94 Give Me Face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, Lin Hai put on a wig with a robe made of the leftover fabric of the day, took out Gao Feng from the space backpack, and tied it behind his back. From a distance, he was clearly a swordsman. Xiaoba's eyes shone brightly and he said, see Gaoi, Lin Hai, are you the most handsome person I have ever seen? Usopp exclaimed, I've seen this outfit before, at the sea restaurant, and in the small garden. Chopper, calm down. Chopper, let me go quickly, I want to dress up like that. Sanji said unhappily, what's there to be envious of? That bastard's long clothes are made of my curtains. Wei Wei couldn't help but twitch her eyes, Sanji's curtains. Lin Hai ignored their complaints, but used his ability to slowly step up into the air. Although Sauron and the others had seen it before, they couldn't help but secretly marvel at this scene again. People who don't know the details will be really shocked by Lin Hai's operation. After reaching a certain height, Lin Hai stood still. Although the space barrier would disappear in 5 seconds, Lin Hai had improved. Wouldn't it be enough to regroup? Quack quack, worship, mortals. No, I almost lost my mind. At this time, Lin Hai was intoxicated, and the sound of fighting below brought Lin Hai back to reality. At this time, Lin Hai said loudly, residents of Alabasta, give me some face and stop what you are doing. Is the sound too low? So they didn't hear it. Then, Lin Hai took out a big speaker and said, residents of Alabasta, listen to me first. People in the square heard Lin Hai's voice at this time, and they all looked up at the people in the air. Seeing this scene, Lin Hai expressed that he was very satisfied. Just when Lin Hai was about to speak, the residents began to continue what they were doing. Because the residents were all angry at this time, how could they pay attention to Lin Hai? At this time, Lin Hai suddenly became angry, so he shouted again, listen to me first, okay, don't fight anymore, just listen to me first, okay, cough cough cough. Sanji, who was below, finally couldn't help holding his stomach and laughing, ha ha ha, Lin Hai, what is he doing? Give him face. He has so much face, ha ha ha, I'm laughing so hard. Zoro on the side tried his best not to laugh out loud, causing his face to turn red. Usopp and Nami looked at each other. Now the two of them could understand Lin Hai's state of mind best. It was because they knew enough about Lin Hai's virtues and what was in his heart that they understood how embarrassed Lin Hai was at this time. So, the two of them started to talk. One of them started rolling on the ground laughing. Chopper asked with a confused look on his face, "What are you laughing at? Aren't you trying to stop people from continuing to fight?" Seeing her people risking their lives and making meaningless sacrifices, Wei Wei really couldn't laugh. When Sanji on the side saw this scene, he quickly pretended to be serious and said, "You can laugh no matter what. Be serious." At this time, Lin Hai came down from the air with a gloomy expression. "Wei Wei, has the bomb on the top floor been disposed of?" Wei Wei nodded and said, "Well, after listening to your words, I told Bell to dispose of the bomb long ago." In this case, Lin Hai put on his most handsome pose. "Activate the summoning mode, come out, Gao Feng." I saw a space vortex with a diameter of about 30 centimeters appearing on the left side of Lin Hai, and a sword that shocked all living beings slowly came out of it. Sauron exclaimed, "Hey, Lin Hai, what do you want to do? What are you doing?" Lin Hai said angrily, "How dare they deny me face like this, I'm going to kill them." Before he finished speaking, Usopp quickly hugged Lin Hai and said, "Calm down, you have to calm down, don't just kill people." Upon hearing Usopp's words, Wei Wei immediately lost her composure. "Lin Hai, you don't really want it." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, "I'm going to chop down all the surrounding buildings with one sword, just to scare them to death, not to chop them down." Sanji said speechlessly, "Don't you know how to be domineering? Can't you just knock them out? Okay. Why didn't you think of that just now?" It seems that he was so angry that he lost his mind. Ahem. Lin Hai's face turned red and he said, "Usopp, let me go, I'm going to start pretending again." "Bah, I'm going to stun them." Wei Wei asked, "Wouldn't this hurt them?" Zoro explained, "I just fainted, it's okay." At the right time, Lin Hai stepped out and lowered his head slightly. Before he started to release his domineering aura, Sanji on the side said jealously, "Hurry up, stop trying to be cool." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, "I need to brew for a while." Suddenly, a gust of wind in the square blew all the dust in the sky to one place. Lin Hai raised his head and stared. A more domineering light blue air flow than before enveloped the huge square in the form of a whirlpool. This is the unparalleled domineering power that shocks all living beings. The loud sound suddenly disappeared, and everyone seemed to be frozen there, and then their eyes rolled down one after another. After a while, Chopper came to his senses and wondered, "Why is there music? But it makes people's blood boil." Sauron said speechlessly, "Lin Hai, can you turn off your broadcast? Let's think about how to deal with the aftermath." Ahem. When Lin Hai was about to unleash his domineering aura just now, he was actually adjusting the background music, which was the BGM of Hawkeye taking action and red hair appearing. In this situation, Lin Hai didn't put down the background music. How could he be worthy of such a handsome himself? Suddenly, Lin Hai exclaimed, "You are so brave, who dares to sneak attack me?" Nami gave Lin Hai a violent shudder and said angrily, "Wei Wei is so sad that she's dying. You're still doing such boring things. Why don't you go check on Luffy? It's really..." However, just as Wei Wei was about to take Lin Hai to the underground palace to help Luffy, the ground floor not far away was beaten and trampled, and a person was seen flying into the air from below, and then fell down. That person was not Crocodile. Who is it again? Lin Hai and his group rushed to the place where Crocodile fell. Lin Hai said, "Wei Wei, do you have any Hailu stone there?" Wei Wei asked doubtfully, yes, what do you want to do?" "What to do?" Lin Hai said bitterly, "Of course, hand over Crocodile to the Navy and collect the bounty." Nanny. Everyone shouted. Only Nami, a freak, looked at Bailey and said, Lin Hai, you are really a genius. By the way, how much is Crocodile's bounty? Sanji said with red hearts in his eyes. Nami like this is so charming, leave it to me, Nami-san. Lin Hai kicked Sanji away, and then said, about 80 million Baileys. Get rich, get rich. As she said that, Nami couldn't help but kiss Lin Hai. Sanji on the side suddenly exclaimed, Lin Hai, I want to challenge you to a duel. Zoro rolled his eyes and said, have you ever beaten him? Sanji yelled, believe it or not, I'll kick you to death first. Sauron said angrily, come here, you sexy cook, let's see if I don't kill you. So, Sanji kicked up, down, left, kick, kick, and what about Sauron? Cut up, down, left, cut, 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 everyone. Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, are you too poisonous? Be more mature, you really think I can't beat you? Ever since, the three of them started fighting. Everyone. Chapter 96 Lieutenant General, he cried. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For some reason, Lin Hai suddenly felt inspired. After all, he failed to sing last time, right? A real man should get up from where he fell. So, Lin Hai said to Smoker, give me a few seconds. At the scene, Lin Hai took out a mirror, comb, gel, hair dryer and other items, and started dressing up in front of everyone. Is Smoker confused at this time? Give you time, what are you doing? Let me ask you why you came to the kingdom of Alabasta. What are you doing with your hair? And everyone in the Sengoku office of the Navy headquarters was also confused. What on earth did that guy want to do? After Lin Hai finished dressing up, he placed a small microphone next to his mouth, and two large speakers he took out from nowhere. Finally, I took out the perfume I got from Nami and sprayed it on myself. Nami on the side exclaimed, Lin Hai, when did you take my perfume? Sanji said angrily, asshole, how can you use Nami's things? Give it back to Nami. Lin Hai didn't bother to pay attention to them, because Lin Hai noticed that Chi was holding the phone bug. There were probably many people watching the scene now, so he couldn't make any mistakes this time. Wear perfume because a good smell can cultivate your mood and inspire you, right? Hey, who among you knows what he's going to do? Is he preparing to sing? But he looks really handsome and looks good. Idiot. Are you paying attention to the question of whether he is handsome or not? By the way, he hasn't answered Colonel Smoker's question yet. At this time, Lin Hai posed. This time, Lin Hai wanted to sing with a real person. Ever since, after the background music of Chasing the Coquettish played, Lin Hai lowered his head, stood with his legs slightly straight, put one hand in his pocket and slowly raised it, as if grabbing something, and then held it tightly fist. The audience suddenly felt a different breath coming towards them. It was innocent, it was passionate, it was unstoppable, it was so cool but not. Everyone swallowed secretly and were very curious about Lin Hai's next move. Before everyone could react, Lin Hai had already started singing, carrying the wind on your shoulders, stepping on the soil under your feet. Lin Hai stared ahead with bright eyes, singing and dancing in a coquettish manner, especially when he sang the soil is under my feet. He pointed at the ground with his middle finger. At this time, in the Sengoku Marshal's office, if anyone notices the facial expression of Sakazuki, General Akainu, they will find that the corner of his mouth under his hat is cramped. Garp, on the other hand, stared at the projection coming from the phone bug with wide eyes and disbelief, with a long line of snot hanging under his nose. He knew that Lin Hai was out of tune, but he didn't expect that he would express his emotions in the form of singing. That's right, hasn't Smoker been chasing the straw hats and wanting to know their purpose? Since he asked today, Lin Hai loudly told him to express his passionate pursuit in a song that was so cool that everyone went crazy. This is the purpose of the straw hats. The Navy can't stop it, and they shouldn't. The lyrics of Chasing the Romantic Years are full of positivity and determination to move forward. Now, the Navy were excited and silent at the same time. How could this song be sung by a pirate? Who could actually make the corners of the ruthless Sakazuki's mouth twitch? Who is it that allowed Garp to live for a long time and still act like a child with snot running out of his nose? That's right, it's that man, the man who wants to show off his lust to the sky. Smoker on the side was inexplicably affected by such passionate music and almost jumped with Lin Hai. After reacting, he couldn't help but blush, but he noticed that the Marines behind him actually jumped up, which made Smoker extremely embarrassed. At this time, after a moment of silence in Marshal Sengoku's office, Sengoku signaled Akiji to turn off the video phone bug. The emotions of Lieutenant General He on the side were delicate. Listening to the song Lin Hai sang just now, the positive and courageous pursuit reminded Lieutenant General He of his young self, the passing time, and those two are idiots pursuing themselves. Then, Lieutenant General He turned to look at Garp and Sengoku, and shed tears inexplicably. Time, the beautiful memories deep in the memory, really make people feel excited. Kizaru's sharp eyes noticed that he was crying after winning the prize, and couldn't help but ask, Lieutenant General He, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? Lieutenant General He replied inexplicably, it's great to be young. At this time, Sengoku said, everyone comes to their senses first. Let's discuss how to draw up the bounty for the straw hats this time. Let's discuss crocodile by the way. However, the phone on the Sengoku table rang again. It turned out to be Wulaoxing calling. One of the 5 old stars directly ordered, the credit for defeating Crocodile this time goes to Smoker. In a square in Albana, Lin Hai had just finished singing a song. The coquettish system prompted, ding, congratulations to the host for completing a gorgeous and coquettish operation, which silenced some high-ranking Navy officials and made Lieutenant General He weep silently. It rewarded the host with a 1-level increase in physical skills, knowledge-based domineering, and armed-based domineering. Since the host knows how to constantly learn and progress, innovate and strive for progress, the coquettish system secretly rewards the host with being resurrected once if it dies, thereby encouraging the host to show off to the fullest. Can the dead be resurrected? So, Lin Hai got an incredible chance to be reborn. What the hell? Just as everyone was staring at Lin Hai blankly, Lin Hai, who was overjoyed, did a few backflips again, and then, Lin Hai hit the wall. What is he doing? Suicide? That shouldn't be the case, right? It seemed like he was too happy, and then somersaulted onto the wall. It's so embarrassing. How could I admire such an idiot just now? Smoker on the side looked at Lin Hai with his face pressed against the wall speechlessly. How should he deal with this Lin Hai? The Straw Hats really didn't commit any crime, they just went to sea under the banner of pirates. If he, Smoker, captured them, in what name? Is it really true that Smoker is a navy and they are pirates? But they didn't commit any crime. If you don't catch them, they are pirates. For a moment, Smoker felt that he was going crazy. It was all because of Lin Hai's words to him that he was now in a dilemma. The depressed Smoker once again used the cross in his hand and rushed towards Lin Hai, angrily saying, Pirate Lin Hai. Nami immediately exclaimed, Lin Hai, be careful. Chapter 97. It turns out it was all a routine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Hai hit the wall and fell directly from the wall to the ground. He was really speechless. Now he was going to be laughed at again. Lin Hai, who had just stood up, saw Smoker rushing over angrily, but he did not feel murderous intent. Lin Hai asked doubtfully, Brother Smoker, what are you doing? Smoker slashed across with a stick, why do you want to be a pirate, you bastard? Lin Hai squatted down and replied, why can't I become a pirate? Smoker slashed vertically, isn't the pirates causing enough chaos in this era? You bastard! Lin Hai turned sideways and said, that's none of my business. It's not me who messed up the world. You should ask those old men. Instead of talking about these troublesome things, how about we go to dinner and have a glass of wine by the way? Smoker slashed diagonally and horizontally, and said angrily, are you kidding me, you damn pirate? For a moment, Smoker kept attacking Lin Hai with his cross hand, but Lin Hai dodged one by one with his eyes closed. What are they doing? Fighting? If there was a fight, why didn't he fight back? Colonel Smoker, don't joke with us. With your ability, how can you not hit him? Please be serious. After a while, Smoker stopped the weapon in his hand and kicked it. Damn it, why couldn't he hit this stinky pirate? Could it be that he would see whence Haki? Before Smoker could continue thinking, Lin Hai opened one eye and said, "Why don't you continue? I haven't had enough fun yet, come and hit me." Phew, Smoker almost spit out a mouthful of blood. This guy really deserves a beating. Smoker once again raised his crossed fingers and pointed at Lin Hai and said, "If you dare, just stand there and don't move." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and retorted, "Fortunately, I didn't join the Navy. If the Navy's brains are the same as yours, I'll be fooled." I saw Smoker chasing Lin Hai with a cross hand. This scene made the people next to him really weak. After all the fun, everyone was ready to do their own thing after the king of Alabasta, Kabusha, flew over with the unconscious Luffy on his back. Smoker and his men escorted Crocodile to the vice admiral who came to pick him up from the Navy headquarters, but Kabusha was the busiest because there were too many things to do after the war. In a large room in the palace, the Straw Hats were sleeping, but Nami and Lin Hai were fine at all. Among them, Usopp and Zoro were moderately injured, but Luffy was the most seriously injured. Unexpectedly, he was still poisoned by crocodile scorpion poison as in the original work. Fortunately, Robin had antidote for scorpion venom. At the right time, Nami gave Lin Hai a look, and when the two of them reached a deserted place, Nami couldn't help but ask, "You guy, didn't you say you were here to deal with Crocodile?" The results of it? Not only Crocodile, but also the agents of Baroque Works were all solved by us. What did you do? Lin Hai said depressedly, "This is not the reason why you confiscated all the treasures, right?" "Nami, there are so many treasures, can I take 2 gems? Nami decisively refused. "No, who told you not to take action this time, so don't want the treasure." Lin Hai hates it, why didn't he hide it secretly at first, but now it's fine, Nami has taken it all. Ahem. Lin Hai pretended to hold Nami's hand and walked to the open space outside, saying, "I know you like treasures very much. Since you want them all, let's forget them all." Nami's eyes flashed, but she was still vigilant. With her understanding of Lin Hai, she must not take it lightly. Looking at the broken buildings in front of her, Nami thought of some past events and couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that people like Crocodile were so dangerous. Just such a person who stirred things up in the dark could actually bring such trouble to Alabasta. Serious consequence. Lin Hai nodded and said, "Indeed, but Wei Wei's father is already dealing with the aftermath." "Nami, you." Nami looked up at the sky and replied, "Yes, looking at the situation after the war, many people lost their beloved things, I think of Belmere." Lin Hai took Nami's hand. After the two sat down together, Lin Hai said, "You can't call her by her name. You should call her Mother Belmere." "How can you call her by her name?" "Remember." Nami rolled her eyes at Lin Hai, "I just like to call her that, it's none of your business." Ignoring Nami's words, Lin Hai said softly, "Some people are indeed unforgettable because her voice and smile have been engraved in their bones, just like your mother. She not only raised you, but also taught you how to be a human being, how to live in harmony with others, what pursuit is, and what persistence is." Nami glanced at Lin Hai unexpectedly and asked doubtfully, "How come you know my mother so well?" Lin Hai waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about those details. Your mother also taught you that you should know how to share things with the people around you. You shouldn't be so greedy for money, just like the big bag of treasures I took just now. Nami, you should give me some of that treasure, right? If you take them all, won't your conscience hurt? If your mother knew, she would definitely be sad." The more Nami listened to Lin Hai, the more something was wrong. It turned out that this guy was holding back this purpose. He talked about a lot of reasons in a roundabout way. It turned out that he hadn't given up on wanting the treasure yet. For a moment, the corners of Nami's eyes twitched. Fortunately, she thought Lin Hai knew her well just now. It turned out that it was all a routine. Seeing that Nami didn't speak, Lin Hai turned to look at her and couldn't help but ask, "Nami, are you listening to me?" "Duong." Nami gave Lin Hai a violent shudder, then put her hands on her hips and said, "Smelly Lin Hai, you should give up on this idea, I won't give you a single gem, huh?" Looking at Nami's retreating back, Lin Hai was really depressed. It seemed that Nami's money-loving disease really couldn't be cured. Well, that's it, Lin Hai definitely doesn't care about those treasures. After a while, Wei Wei found Lin Hai and said with surprise, "So you are here? Give me a good meal." Lin Hai turned around and asked, "What do you want from me?" Wei Wei sat down where Nami was sitting just now and said, "Nothing's wrong. I saw that everyone was resting, but you were not here, so I came to find you." After saying that, Wei Wei turned to look into Lin Hai's eyes. Suddenly, an inexplicable feeling of attraction between opposite sexes spread out. After the two looked at each other for a while, Lin Hai turned to look at the sky. "Wei Wei, you are the future of this country, and I am a wandering prodigal. Do you understand?" Wei Wei nodded and said, "I know, after you circle the world, will you come back?" Lin Hai shook his head and said, "Who knows what will happen in the future? Maybe one day, I will be gone. So, who can say clearly about this kind of thing?" After Wei Wei was silent for a while, she said, "Lin Hai, thank you for teaching and reminding me before. It made me understand some very important principles." Lin Hai turned around and was about to say, "You're welcome." Well. Chapter 98 Drifting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a long time, Wei Wei looked at Lin Hai with a red face. "Lin Hai, take your hand away quickly, this is outdoors." Lin Hai retracted his hand in embarrassment and patted the hand just now with his other hand. "Why can't this old problem be changed?" "Ahem." Lin Hai said, "Wei Wei, you have the most beautiful figure in the entire kingdom of Alabasta. Why do you still mention such shameful things?" To be honest, Wei Wei really couldn't help herself just now, and it had nothing to do with anything else. After all, regardless of Lin Hai's kindness to Alabasta or the days since they got along, Wei Wei was really obsessed with Lin Hai. At this time, Wei Wei whispered, "Lin Hai, let's go back." Lin Hai raised his eyebrows and said, "Okay, how about we go and have a rest together?" Wei Wei looked up at Lin Hai and said softly, "Lin Hai, I know you like to go on adventures on the sea, but you have to remember that there is someone in Alabasta who is thinking of you and waiting for you in the future. We have made an agreement." Lin Hai nodded and said, "Since you don't regret it, what can I say? Time flies, let's get down to business." "Seriously?" Space field. After changing several spaces, Lin Hai and Wei Wei came to a room. Soon after, Wei Wei frowned, then relaxed. This incident in the kingdom of Alabasta was like a nightmare, which made Wei Wei look back in pain at first, but fortunately the nightmare passed. Only then did Wei Wei realize the beauty of life and the preciousness of life. Ever since, Wei Wei started to sing a sweet song. "I float and float, you shake and shake, rootless weeds. When I fell into a dream, the sky changed and it became so ethereal. What, if you love one more second, you will love one more second. Shortness makes people distressed. If you don't care about it, just burn it happily." When Lin Hai woke up, it was already past 9 o'clock the next morning. Looking at Wei Wei in his arms, Lin Hai asked softly, "When did you wake up? Why are you looking at me like this?" Wei Wei smiled sweetly and said, "I just want to see you for a little longer." Lin Hai scraped Wei Wei's nose. "Get up quickly, if they can't find you, the kingdom of Alabasta may be in chaos again." Wei Wei then remembered and quickly stood up, but then she reacted and wrapped herself in a quilt again. Lin Hai said with a smile, "It's just the two of us here, why are you so shy?" Wei Wei's face turned red. Her instinctive reaction was okay. "After all, I haven't gotten used to it yet." After the two of them finished dressing, Wei Wei asked, "Lin Hai, you and Nami?" Lin Hai smiled and said, "As you think, but I will remember yesterday's agreement." Wei Wei smiled and said, "Okay, I have to go to my father's place. See you later." Mua. When Lin Hai came to Luffy's room, Luffy was still sleeping there. A doctor sitting next to him was checking Luffy. Lin Hai couldn't help but stepped forward and asked, "Has his fever gone?" The doctor took out the thermometer, looked at it, and replied, "Fortunately, the toxins in his body have been removed, and now his body temperature has become normal. Lin Hai said, "Thank you. If you need medical expenses, go to Nami." "We don't have any money." The doctor was stunned and immediately replied, "No, no, no, you saved." "Stop." Lin Hai said quickly, "Don't do this, it's all their fault." "What about my partners?" The doctor replied, "They went to do their own things early in the morning. Do you need me to take you to them?" Lin Hai shook his head and said, "No, just leave him to me to take care of him." "I'm sorry to bother you." "Huh, you are too polite." "Meat, meat, I want to eat a lot of meat." The two looked at Luffy in his sleep, and the doctor couldn't help but praise, "This young man's vitality is really tenacious. He is injured like this, and he is still shouting for meat, ha ha ha." After the doctor left, Lin Hai started to joke, "Didn't Luffy call him meat?" So, Lin Hai took out a piece of fragrant chicken drumstick from his space backpack and put it on Luffy's nose. Good guy, Luffy, who was in a coma, followed his instinct and bit it in one bite, while Lin Hai directly raised the chicken leg. He couldn't bite it. In this way, the two started fishing there. After a few times, Luffy seemed to have a nightmare. There was a pile of rice in front of him, but he couldn't eat it. I saw that although Luffy was sleeping, he had a very annoyed expression on his face. Duong. Nami, who came back, gave Lin Hai a hard lesson and said, "Don't do stupid things here, Luffy's wounds haven't healed yet." Before he finished speaking, Lin Hai exclaimed, "Luffy, you bastard, my hands." Just by not paying attention, the drumstick and hand were bitten by Luffy in his sleep. After finally taking his hand out, Lin Hai quickly asked Chopper, who had just come in, "Chopper, do you have rabies vaccine here?" Chopper asked doubtfully, Yes, was someone bitten by a dog?" Lin Hai pointed at Luffy who was sleeping, "I was bitten by Luffy." Duong. Lin Hai was angry. Why did this woman hit herself so often? Lin Hai turned around slowly with a gloomy expression and said in a low tone, "Nami, please try hitting me again." Duong. Nami said speechlessly, "Really, everyone is like this. I don't know how long Luffy will be unconscious for." At this time, Sauron walked in. "Hey Lin Hai, good morning." Chopper exclaimed, "Zoran, why did you take off the bandages on your body?" Zoro poured a glass of water and replied, "It would be too much trouble if we don't tear it down. By the way, Lin Hai, I have something to ask you. Come with me, okay?" Lin Hai glared at Nami and replied, "What's the matter, just tell me." When Zoro saw something was wrong, he quickly said, "Let's talk about it later." When Sanji came back and saw this scene, he was furious and said, "Lin Hai, how dare you glare at Miss Nami, be careful I'll kick you to death." Ignoring Sanji, Lin Hai said, "A gem." Nami exclaimed, "You haven't given up yet, don't think about it, I won't give it to you." Hey. Lin Hai gave up, then turned to Sauron and said, "If you have anything, just ask." Seeing that Sanji was still glaring at him, Lin Hai said directly, "You bastard should take medicine." "What did you say?" Nami on the side slapped her forehead. Why did she start fighting again? "Ah!" Zoro cried out in pain, "What does it have to do with me? How dare you kick me, see if I don't kill you two bastards." The three-person melee begins. Chopper innocently turned to look at Nami. "Nami, what should we do?" "They are fighting again." Nami's eyebrows jumped. Duong. X3. Nami clapped her hands, "It's finally quiet." Chopper said in admiration, "Silk cake." Chapter 99 Sauron vs. Lin Hai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a period of noise, several people who were bored in the room came outside together. Lin Hai asked, "Zolong, what's the matter?" Zoro took out his sword and gently drew it across the boulder next to him. He saw that the boulder was split into two. Lin Hai praised, "Zoran, you have entered the ranks of great swordsmen, but you are only at the threshold of entering the way of swordsmanship. Just entered the threshold of kendo." When Lin Hai said this, Sauron immediately felt unhappy. He felt that he had made great progress, but now Lin Hai said that he had only entered the threshold of kendo. Really? Zoro didn't believe it. How about we compete? Sanji on the other side advised, Zoran, you better not force yourself to do this. Chopper echoed, Zoran, you are not allowed to exercise strenuously because of your injuries. Sauron interrupted, don't be verbose, I must capture the feeling at that time, otherwise, I will not make progress. Ahem, Lin Hai pretended to be the eagle eye of the past, and took out a knife from the system backpack. Sanji couldn't help but remind him, hey, how did this guy Lin Hai learn the eagle eye of the day? Nami exclaimed, Lin Hai, don't underestimate Zoro, be careful there will be another one lying on the bed. Usopp put his head in his hands and said, what is Lin Hai doing? Chopper on the side still didn't understand what was about to happen, and looked at the scene in front of him in confusion. When Sauron saw Lin Hai pulling out such a knife to fight with him, he couldn't help feeling insulted again. Hawkeye is the world's best swordsman, and that's all he is recognized as. Why does Lin Hai do this? Zoro's face darkened, what do you mean? Lin Hai replied, I didn't mean to insult you, I just want you to experience it. Great swordsmen are also very different, Zoro said playfully, you are so brave. Don't blame me if you get hurt later. Lin Hai smiled and said, use your special move. If you can hit me, just hit me. Seeing this scene, Zoro's eyes twitched. Ever since his duel with Hawkeye, Zoro has been practicing day and night. Especially after the battle with the killer MR1, Zoro feels that he has made great progress. Is it true that as Lin Hai said, he is still a newbie? A sense of urgency arose from his heart. Zoro drew out his 3 sabers, took a stance and said, Lin Hai, these times are different from the past. If not, you'd better take out your sabers and have a good fight with me. Lin Hai replied, just feel free to attack me. Am I such an ignorant person? Come on. Sulfuric acid. Zoro drew his sword, biting the name of the sword and the word Dao in his mouth, and crossed his hands to hold the other 2 sabers in a fuck shape. For a moment, Sauron stared at Lin Hai like a wild beast, and this invisible aura startled several people next to him. Seeing such a terrifying Zoro, Nami pushed Usopp, think of a solution quickly. Are they competing? Usopp said in fear, what can I do? Don't push me, Sanji advised, let's not disturb them and let's see the situation. At this moment, Zoro took action. Ghost Slayer. Ding. There was a sound of iron collision, everyone's eyes widened. I saw that Lin Hai used the knife to block Sauron's decisive blow, just like Hawkeye blocked Sauron that day. For a moment, Zoro was sweating on his forehead, a little doubtful that he was alive. Why? Why do you exercise every day and every night and spend more than twice as much effort as others? Why is it still like this now? Seeing Sauron's chaotic aura, Lin Hai quickly put away his sword and explained, Zoran, you should know that I practice those simple chopping movements on the boat every day, right? Zoro nodded, indeed. Lin Hai explained, actually, I am not pretending at all. I stipulate that I chop in a certain direction every day and close the knife at a certain point. The main practice is to control the force and grasp the direction, but so far, I still can't control it well. This is completely different from the practice of chopping for beginners. Do you understand? Zoro nodded thoughtfully, but still wondered, then why were you able to block my killing blow this time with just a knife? Are you about to catch up with Hawkeye's level? Lin Hai poked Sauron's head and said amusedly, I can be domineering, which has determined that I belong to the ranks of masters. Your speed or strength are of no use in front of me, and when you fought Hawkeye, the weakness of your demon slayer had long been known. At that time, I was watching from the side, so why not learn it? Until now, you haven't improved your moves. Why is it so strange that I blocked you? So, have you jumped out of the well? Listening to Lin Hai's explanation, Chaoba asked doubtfully, jumping out of the well? What does it mean? Usopp and Nami shook their heads to express their ignorance, and Sanji joked, toad in the well, ha ha ha. At this time, Lin Hai's finger was still poking Zoro's head, and Sanji's words were like a fire, burning Zoro's face red. The embarrassed Sauron shouted angrily, Lin Hai. I'm going to chop you down. Lin Hai jumped back quickly, and Sauron began to chop Lin Hai randomly. As a result, Lin Hai closed his eyes again, intoxicated and letting Zoro experience the experience of smoker back then. At first, the few people watching were worried, but now they are numb. Lin Hai closed his eyes and said, "You haven't eaten yet. Hurry up and use so much strength, but you can't cut anyone. Aren't you wasting your energy?" Zoro's face turned red and he said, "Stop blabbering, I don't believe I can't kill you bastard." Just like that, after fooling around for a while, Lin Hai brought up his personal panel. Coquettish system, host, Lin Hai, physique, level 8, top level 10. The host's current physique, whether in terms of resilience, strength, body functions, etc., has entered the advanced ranks. Wisdom and knowledge of domineering, level 3, the perception of the surrounding aura is enhanced, and the mental power is enhanced. Armed color hockey, level 3, with excellent attack and defense. Overlord color domineering, level 3, freely control and shock the target. The effect is significant, mainly determined by the host's aura. Skill 1.1. Establish a space field, space swap, use it skillfully. As long as the physical strength is there and the speed is fast enough, the host will be invincible. Space cutting, the cutting effect is determined by the host's domineering power. Point 2. One knife flow, skill 2.1. Space slash, the high-level use of space fruit requires Gao Feng in the summoned form to use it. Point 2. Space barrier, no limit, depends on the proficiency of the host. Existing items. Point 1. Space backpack, only the host can come and go freely, making it the best place to escape. 2. Dugu 9 swords, reference. Point 3. Basic swordsmanship, under learning, difficult things in the world must be done easily. The host is not like that. It is difficult first and then easy to be different. 4. Broadcaster, already have songs, chasing the coquettish year, pirate world specific BGM. Point 5. TT, ham sausage, dinosaur meat, wig, cape, hair dryer, comb, mirror, system store, open, coquettish coin, 1125. Special note, the host gets a chance to be resurrected. After the host is resurrected, everything will be formatted, and the physical functions, strength, age, etc. will return to the time when the host received the reward on that day. Looking at the situation of the special note, Lin Fan confirmed again, the coquettish system. The explanation of this special note is that no matter how strong I am in the future, or how old I am, as long as I die and resurrect, I will be directly resurrected at the time when you issued the reward. Health condition. Coquettish system, yes, ahem, so Lin Hai will still have a life as long as he grows old and dies normally. Woohoo, take off. Chapter 100. The fresh and refined Usopp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. One day later, Luffy was still sleeping soundly in the hospital bed without waking up. In the room, Chopper admired, "So that's it. I didn't expect Zoro to be so powerful. The one named Hawkeye is even more powerful than Zoro. Sure enough, the world is so scary." Usopp said angrily, "Chopper, you don't know that when Zoro and Lin Hai teamed up to fight Hawkeye, they were no match at all. Just when their lives were in danger, do you know who saved them?" "Of them?" Chopper asked curiously, "Tell me, Usopp, what happened next?" "TSK, TSK, TSK. Usopp looked up at the ceiling at 45 degrees and said leisurely, "It's me." At that time, Lin Hai was seriously injured and had passed out. And Hawkeye's sword was only 0.01 points away from Sauron's throat. When I was 30 centimeters away, I quickly shouted, "Stop." Hawkeye was shocked by my domineering aura, so he stopped. "See Gao E." Chopper said with eyes shining, "What happened next? Did you guys fight?" "Ahem." Usopp imitated the way Lin Hai stepped into the air that day, put his hands behind his back, raised his head and said inscrutably, "As the world's best swordsman, Hawkeye naturally has his own arrogance. Moreover, he is also a swordsman, so when he encounters an opponent of my level, he will naturally have to compete with me. Finally, I had a fight with him." Chopper couldn't help but swallowed, and sweat broke out on his forehead. "Then what happened next?" Which of you won? Usopp replied, later, the two of us fought for 10 days and 10 nights high above the sea restaurant, with no outcome, but the clouds in the sky were split open by our sword energy. We later realized that if we continue to fight, there might not be any rain at the sea restaurant in the future, just like the kingdom of Alabasta, which had not rained for 3 years. So Hawkeye and I stopped fighting and agreed to compete again when we meet again in the future. When I think back to the battle that day, I feel so nostalgic. I wonder if Hawkeye is okay now. Chopper's eyes lit up and he said, I didn't expect you to be so powerful, Usopp. Then you have to protect me from now on, Usopp. Nami, who came back, happened to see this scene. She really didn't expect that someone would be so shameless and make the bullshit look so fresh and refined. Nami said she was convinced. Ignoring Usopp and Chopper's banter, Nami said, Chopper, how is Luffy's condition? It's been 2 days, why hasn't Luffy gotten up yet? Chopper replied, Luffy is fine. He should be able to wake up today. Nami looked at the room and asked doubtfully, where are Lin Hai and Zoro? Usopp quickly ran to Nami and whispered, they are right next door, but I advise you not to go there. Nami asked curiously, what happened? Usopp explained, you also know that Zoro is a very strong person. After Zoro lost to Lin Hai that day, he competed with him all day long. Now the two of them are competing against each other in stacking cards. Nami asked in confusion, stacking poker cards? What do you mean? Take me over and have a look. Usopp quickly lay down on the ground, I'm sick and can't walk. Chopper, remember to burn more paper money for me. I'm dead. Chopper exclaimed, are you okay, Usopp? Don't you have a romantic duel with Hawkeye? You can't die. Nami raised her eyebrows and violently pulled Usopp's long nose into the next room. Usopp cried out in pain, you can just go by yourself, let go quickly, it hurts. When Nami and the other 3 came to the next room, they saw Lin Hai and Zoro stacking poker cards there, that is, placing the 2 cards sideways together to form a triangle, with 1 row on the bottom, and then facing each other at the tip of the triangle. Place a poker flat next to it, and so on, forming a big triangle. Weiwei and Sanji saw Nami coming in, and Weiwei quickly stepped forward to stop Nami from interfering with the competition between Lin Hai and Zoro. Nami whispered, when did they start? Weiwei replied, from morning to now. Usopp said, this is not the point. If there is no result, they won't keep competing, right? At this time, Lin Hai continued to fold his cards carefully, secretly feeling depressed about why he said in front of Sauron that he had better control of power than Sauron. And that guy Sanji actually proposed this game, and now it's fine. Lin Hai was really annoyed. After stacking them for so long, they kept falling apart. As for Sauron, that bull, he is really competitive, but he, Lin Hai, is not willing to admit defeat. Zoro, who was opposite Lin Hai, raised his eyebrows and gave Lin Hai a playful look. Lin Hai felt like a fool, why should he compare with Sauron? Lin Hai couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, ah. At this time, everyone watched Lin Hai scratching his hair, then disrupting all the pokers on the table, then picking up a handful of pokers and throwing them to the ground, stepping on them with his feet. What kind of crappy game is this? Is this played by humans? What kind of control over power makes me so angry? I kick. Lin Hai finally went crazy. Everyone looked at Lin Hai's unexpected scene in stunned silence, and Zoro was also shocked by Lin Hai. Usopp said confusedly, what's wrong with Lin Hai? Sanji, he must be extremely irritable, right? Nami said speechlessly, is Lin Hai a child? Everyone's faces darkened, and they looked like children, venting their anger on the poker. At this moment, someone pushed the door open and came in, telling Luffy that he had woken up, so everyone was about to go over to see Luffy. Zoro pushed Lin Hai, you're not that bad, are you? No. Lin Hai said angrily, what kind of crappy game is this? Don't you think the two of us are just like fools, being fooled by that guy Sanji into playing such a boring game? Zoro said indifferently, I won anyway, why don't you go see Luffy? Lin Hai said angrily, you won. Did you make it? Zoro replied, you couldn't hold on first, so I won. Ha ha ha. Lin Hai said angrily, asshole, eat my kick, that when Sauron was about to retaliate, Duong. Nami exclaimed angrily, really, haven't you two grown up? Wei Wei said with deep feeling, thank you so much for your hard work, Nami. Nami said with a confident face, you still understand me. At this moment, Luffy had already arrived. Hey, everyone is here, long time no see. Why did I say long time no see? Sanji explained to Luffy, you have been unconscious for more than 2 days. Luffy responded reflexively, so, I haven't eaten 8 meals. Usopp exclaimed, why do you calculate this kind of thing so clearly, and why do you still calculate it as 4 meals a day? At this time, the head chef brought a bunch of fruits over and said, you are all here. Let's fill our stomachs with fruits first. The dinner will be here later. Luffy replied, Auntie, I want to eat a lot of meat. Lin Hai, who was lying on the ground, quickly replied, I want to eat noodles, remember to add mushrooms and sliced meat to it. The head chef replied, no problem, I'll be here later. The cart full of fruits disappeared in an instant, and everyone shouted to Luffy, you are doing tricks. There was still some time before dinner. Lin Hai flashed his light. He must let Luffy experience his pain. After seeing the chef leave, Lin Hai stepped forward and said, Luffy, there is a very fun game, do you want to play it? Luffy's eyes lit up and he said, game? Come on, tell me. Everyone's faces turned dark when they saw Lin Hai's big bad wolf look and evil intentions.